Hello, hockey fans, and welcome to the Draft Board Hockey Show. I'm Mark and my boy Linc from New Wave Hockey, and this is episode 2. We are going to talk about the NHL Draft prospects at the World Juniors. Happy 2025, Linc. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, especially after beating Canada on the New Year's Eve.
Oh my God.
It made
Yeah.
my New Year's Eve so much sweeter. I gotta say, it was great.
You know what? Disheartening. Going into 2025 with that kind of loss. And I mean, yeah, the Americans, they took it to us. I have to admit, you were close. You said 4-2 USA and 4-1. So
Yeah,
you're pretty close there, Linc.
A couple of my buddies saw my video as it went out on New Year's Eve, and then we're just watching the game together. And I was forcing because they're more like football fans. And I was like, yeah, we have to watch this game because the Penn State game was not as good. And they were like, oh my God, it's gonna be 4-2, just like you said. And then like, yeah, I mean, hey, like that Trey Augustine, he's a heck of a goalie there. Oh my goodness, he was great. He played amazing, and props to Carter George as well. I mean, it was a really good game. I can't even fault you guys. It was a great game.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of penalties. Canada, the whole Canada, the selection process, the coaching, the line combinations, no practices before the quarterfinals. Yeah, a lot of stuff going down in Canada right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. Hockey is our passion, and when things go south like that, well, there's going to be some questions, and obviously they're going to question, the selection committee and the process and coaching staff and all that kind of stuff. Can't blame the kids. I mean, some big names left off, but however, listen, the way I see it is Canada, parity is starting to become real for hockey.
Oh yeah,
the Americans are coming up, the Swedes, the Finns, I mean, Czechia, Latvia, like.
You gotta mention Latvia.
Canada's not the supreme dog anymore. I mean, you gotta put on, and it's a 1-game knockout. That's the other thing, right? You play a 7-game series. That's a whole different animal. However, 1-game knockouts, you gotta adapt to the game and figure out your line combos and change things up. And Canada didn't do that. And guess what? We got bounced in the quarterfinals. Kind of sucked, but hey, what can you do?
Hey, it kind of sucks for me to see, because again, I'm of the opinion when Canada is really good at these international tournaments, it's generally better and it's generally more fun to watch. My favorite hockey game of all time is still like the 2021 gold medal game where USA beat Canada, and it was just so exciting because that was such a good Canadian team that the United States upset. And that's kind of what I want to see more of. I mean, hey, it sucks to not have names like Michael Misa, Carter Yakimchuk, and Carter Yakimchuk is not going to be eligible for next year as well, which is terrible. Yeah. Zane Parek's not wasn't there. Iginla wasn't there, but that was injury related. Same with Lidstrom. Yeah. Look,
Beckett Seneca. I mean, Michael Misa. The list goes on and on. Like I was actually, think of a line of Michael Misa, Beckett Seneca, Michael Hage, Carter Yakimchuk, and Zane Parek. That's a line. Like, you're trying to tell me that Canada couldn't go with that line? Like, come on. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? We could argue about this all day long, but yeah, you know what? Hey, props to the Americans. And after Canada gets eliminated, I always go for the Americans. So I'm hoping that looking good this year. We're going to talk about a couple of the boys on there. Like I said, the NHL prospects that are in the World Juniors. So the other thing I want to talk about before we start, a little prospect news. Yes, Ivan Ryabkin has finally made it to North America. And guess what? Had his debut last night, had a couple goals, and actually got a clip from one of the goals there. He had 2 goals, and here it is right here. His first USHL goal. Boom, right in front. There it is. He was at number 10 in front there. And so, yeah, you know what? I'm glad that he's in North America. I think that being in Russia and stuff like that, it was kind of hampering his development. And so now we got him here finally, and I think that it's gonna help his draft stock for sure.
Oh, for sure. I was somebody who had him super high. Like, he was from the preseason, I had him number 3 in my prospects. But again, he fell back. I mean, it became very apparent once he started playing games that he was not going to maintain a top 5, even a top 10 level. And I've still maintained like he has the talent to get back in there. It's about 2 months too late because, again, this news about him coming over to Muskegon potentially, that broke in October, and it's been just really messy in the MHL and the VHL since. And I'm really just glad that he's got another shot. He's going to be in Muskegon. He might commit to a college soon, which would be very nice to see. But again, Ivan Ryabkin, very good for the kid. I mean, you want to root for him because he's had a tough go of it, and I would love to see him show what he can at this level at the USHL. I mean, he's the chance to blow out that league in a league where there's not really somebody who's standing out as a pure offensive scorer in this draft class, I guess. So
yeah, you know what, and I think the same thing. Like I had Ryabkin pretty high start of the season, and when a kid comes over to North America, I think especially in your draft year, it makes a big difference. I mean, it's hard to evaluate players based on video and stuff like that, especially the whole Russian thing going on. But I mean, I think that it's gonna help him out. It shows up, scores 2 goals right away. I mean, come on. So yeah, he might be creeping up a few of the rankings in the near future for sure if he keeps up that pace. So that was pretty cool, and I just wanted to add that in there for all the hockey fans out there. But next, so this show we are going to discuss the NHL draft prospects at the World Juniors and whether or not it helped with their rankings. Did it boost it? Did it slow them down? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to let you have the floor, Linc, because the US, they won. So you get first dibs. You get to pick your guy. Okay.
And boy, am I so glad to pick my boy James Higgins. And again, a lot of people had him going first overall before this tournament, but there was chatter. We're talking about December, like early December, where there is chatter, and there is not there's not really any agreement with who's going first overall. Like you still have Matthew Schaefer going first overall, and I'm not gonna criticize you for that at all. He was injured, he was out early, but I feel like this World Juniors has really closed the gap between James Higgins and other prospects. He really is solidified for himself to be that number one center that everyone's really coveting. And again, people worried about the size. He's showing off that he can dominate, especially international play, when he was starting to pick up the pace in NCAA as well. I cannot wait to see what he does in the second half.
I wanted to point out a couple of things so James Higgins leading the draft eligible players at the 2025 World Juniors. Now check this out. Last year, Macklin Celebrini was the leader of the World Juniors points. And the year before that, Connor Bedard. Look at those sick numbers. 3.29 points per game, 23 points in 7 games at the World Juniors. Yeah. So this year we got James Higgins leading the group. And so you know what? He's putting up some decent numbers for sure.
Yeah, actually. And looking at those point totals, not to say that like which prospect is better, but no, he's no Bedard. No one's going to be a Bedard, but he's pretty comparable to Macklin Celebrini's point totals from last year. Yep. Again, it was another weakened Canadian team where he did not get a lot of great chances. He was certainly in a more sheltered role than Higgins is this year with America, because again, they've just been letting him do whatever he wants. But he's showing that he can dominate offensively, and arguably he's been the best player on that team. And I feel like that's not a hot take.
Whoa! Slow down, Linc. Listen, one name, Ryan Leonard, has been an absolute beast on that team. Now you cannot disrespect Mr. Ryan Leonard. He's my number one guy on that team right now. Now, listen, James Higgins has been having a great World Juniors, but come on, let's give props to Mr. Ryan Leonard there, Linc.
I will. And the way that I've seen it is that the U.S. has really just flown from their distributors. Cole Hudson and James Higgins have really run things at this tournament, and it's been up to guys like Cole Eiserman, Trevor Connolly, Ryan Leonard, and Gabe Perreault to be up in those chances. That again from their setup guys, and that's kind of how this USA team has been producing. And yeah, Ryan Leonard's been great and awesome, but I really want to give props to James Higgins. He's been able to do it all at this tournament, where I feel like Ryan Leonard should be dominating on the points sheet a little bit more. But again, I'm not criticizing him at all. That top line has been incredible. James Higgins has looked really solid, and again, I feel like he's really solidified himself for this top spot. Let's look at some of these tapes here.
Yeah, see if you can get on it. Let's see what we got here.
I mean, we talk about skill forwards and what they can bring to this to a team.
So you want? I know you want to see the goal against.
Yeah, I got some clips loaded.
This is a pretty sweet goal. So this is. Whew, look at those little hands, eh?
He just sneaks it right there. And again,
Not
great
bad.
pass
Walks
from
in.
Moore.
Look at
Look at that. Oh.
Yeah, that's some nice patience here. I got some other clips. Well, you got a clip that you added, so here, let's.
Yeah, this is one. He goes, it's a give and go with Zeev Buyum.
Yeah.
Moves to the middle of the ice and just, I just absolutely love what he does there. He gets the pass from Zeev, goes right to the middle, and then opens up. Similar here, he's right in the middle, and he just whips that. You don't even see the puck until it's already in the back of the net. It's crazy.
Yeah, you know what? I got some here. I want to show you the hockey IQ. So this one, look at that. He brings it in, and he kind of he sees the hit coming, but he still is able to. And look at that little chip pass to the front. So he's got a couple of things going on there. And then I wanted to show you this zone exit. So here you're going to see we got a combination of Logan Hensler. So here's Logan Hensler behind the net, puts a little soft pass up there, and then Mr. Hagens with the sweet backhand pass out. So yeah, you know what? The boys definitely, like you said, the World Juniors is just part of the whole process for the draft. But when you have a good showing in the World Juniors, it definitely helps your stock. And so, Hagens has been doing that. And so you got to give him props for that for sure. Do you got more clips, or is this something else?
No, that's all I have for Hagens. Again, that's okay. I could show you like anything, but we've kind of just shown it all. We've seen him distribute, we've seen him break it out, we've seen him score. I've been blown away, and for me, there's nobody else at the top. I know you have the next guy we're about to talk about as your first overall pick, but I really think there's no comparison. James Hagens has been fantastic this tournament.
Okay, so you know what, and listen, and I agree. James Hagens has definitely made a case for first overall, and I totally agree with that with the way he's playing in the World Juniors. However, Matthew Schaefer, before going down that first game against Finland, he was unreal. And the thing with Matthew Schaefer, he's almost a year younger than James Hagens. And he's coming on Team Canada doesn't typically take draft eligible players, especially defensemen. Very rarely do you see a D get selected. But I got some clips here, so. This is that's him just run that guy. So he comes in, he's at the blue line there, and then watch this. He just comes in and he takes a run. Boom.
Oh yeah.
So I want to show the physicality. Now, the thing with him is that he has, the abilities to join the rush. So this is him behind the net, and he just rifles one down and they score. But
I have that
it was
same clip,
because he stole that puck, like good stick work right there against Finland, and then ends up getting a goal for it. And then the last one I want to show is this pass over here. So this is on the PP. He's at the top of the circle here. He's going to get it, and then one touch pass back, and it's in the net. So yeah, you know what? Like I said, so that's him at the top there, and then he just rifles it back. Matthew Schaefer, for me, is still number one. I thought that, that unfortunately it's a small sample size, one game and a couple shifts, but I thought that he did everything right, and I like the physicality, and the World Juniors is it's just a part of the whole picture. So granted, James Hagens has made a case for himself with the play, and coming up to the semifinals and finals, if they hopefully they make it to the finals, and then we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I'm still sticking with Mr. Schaefer as number one, but James Hagens, yeah, he's close on the coattails there.
I don't really blame you either. I have one clip. You stole one of my clip, the empty net clip. That's just a beautiful clip. He just knocks it out and just scores it right from the back wall. That's incredible.
You know what? It was him retrieving that puck from the player, right? The player tried to get around him, and he just stole the puck and then rifled it down. So it was, getting to that point that kind of solidified his work, I guess, along the wall. So yeah. So,
but yeah,
who do you want to talk about next, Linc? You want to go back to the U.S. or do you want to talk about, the other top prospect, Porter Martone? Or
I had one more. I had one more clip from. I had one more little thing about Porter Martone. He was supposed to come in here and do wonders and really just kind of be like another foil to like this great Canadian team that everyone was talking about. But again, he is someone who I think his stock dropped a little bit, like when it comes to the World Juniors. He was not deployed in a lot of scenarios. He was benched for a couple games, which I argued was not a great move because, again, he's better offensively than some of the players they were putting out there some of the nights. But he did not really show enough for me when he was even in the games. I'm not going to drop him past 4, but he's still going to stay at 4 for me. And I don't really see him as much of a number 1 overall contender as much anymore. I'm not saying that he was bad. I'm just saying he just really didn't take chances. He had 1 goal in 3 games. It was a tip-in goal. And there were some other chances that he got right in front of the net, and he missed. He was missing shots. He was not corralling pucks. Something you'd want to see from an offensive talent. No criticism of Porter Martone. Fantastic player. He just didn't really show up at this top stage.
Yeah, you know what? I'll agree with you on this one, Linc. I've had him at 4 since day one, and like I said, I had a few live viewings of him early on, like right at the beginning of the OHL season, and I thought, there's just some elements of his game that are missing. The one thing you said that net front goal against the Czechs, I got it right here. So he's in front, big body in front of the goalie, and little tip in there. So you'll see it on another reverse angle, but that's the funny thing about Canada. I don't know why they didn't play him with Rakop, which he plays with in Brampton, who have some good chemistry together. You know what I mean? So it was kind of weird that they didn't try them out together at all once in this, but that's a nice little tip right there. And then there's another goal here. Again, net front presence. He's the big body in front, and he didn't tip it here, but he does, kind of put a nice net front presence there for him. And the other thing that I want to show was his hitting. So here you're going to see him take a run at this guy right here. He didn't do that too much though during the World Juniors. Like there was a couple of hits, but there was a few times when he was kind of soft along the wall. And I mean, he was there for, big body presence and didn't really show that. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that this was a tournament where he could have kind of, maybe been in talks of, that first overall pick or second overall pick. He didn't display that, unfortunately. And listen, I love Martone, but yeah, it was one of those things where Hagens and Schaefer just basically came and, showed the way.
Oh, I totally agree. And that last clip with him being soft on plays on the wall, I mean, that's something he's been showing in the OHL. I wasn't too surprised about that. The thing I was more surprised is how Canada was deploying him, because he never really is like a net front guy for Brampton. He's the one who's making all the plays. He's the one who's using his skill. He's the one who's taking shots from the perimeter, from deep, from the top of the circle. He is a guy that you go to create chances. And I didn't see them utilize him in that way. I didn't see them utilize him with his line mate Carson Rakoff, who is, in my opinion, a brilliant player in the OHL. Yeah. I really cannot believe they benched him for the games that they did.
Yeah, when Martone went out, he went in, and I didn't understand that either. And when you got teammates that have chemistry, like look at the, Boston College line, they stayed together, and guess what? They're doing great. Like that line is just on fire right now at the World Juniors. So yeah, there's like I said again, some questions about the Canada coaching and their thought process, but hey, what can you do?
At the end of the day, I'm still rooting for him. I still want the Flyers to get Porter Martone, because I think that's the only guy that's really in their range to get. So I still really like him at the end of the day. But again, he's kind of dropped out of like the top 4, and now it's a top 3 discussion for the first overall pick.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, for sure. So moving on, I know that the next player you like a lot as well. I'm a little bit lower on him, in terms of the Swedes that are available in this draft. But your boy,
Victor Eklund. Yeah.
Victor Eklund. Yeah.
I really wanted to talk about this because, again, I think it really was glaring in the way that he was playing and the way that, in comparison to the way that Porter Martone was playing, because this guy was vicious along the wall. He was really a two-way player. He showed it, and he doesn't have the size to back it up. He's like 5'11", and he was really fighting for every single chance, every single goal, and that's not really his style. He's more of a skill guy, and he's had to transition it to be a two-way forward to kind of survive in the Allsvenskan, and he's brought that style here to the World Juniors, and he's got 6 points in 5 games. Yeah. He's really carved a spot on that roster. He's now on top power play, for goodness sake. And look at that. Yeah, 6 points, 5 games. He's only behind Hagens and Bruno Osmanis, who we will get to. But Victor Eklund, he's really shown so much for me. I've really kind of this was like the tournament that's kind of making me think that he can be a top 5 guy for sure. I would love to see Roger McQueen come back, but Victor Eklund, he's really
top 5, eh? Top 5. I don't know about that there, Linc, but listen, I got a clip of the board battles. So this is him going into look at this. bodies off the Latvian, and then look at this, wins the battle, drops it back to the D, and they get a scoring chance. So that's all Victor Eklund. That's the kind of, that you're talking about, those battles along the wall. So here, you got a clip of him here. What is this one?
So he's down below. He's going to pick the puck. He's number 18 here. He's got it. He's going to fight along the boards here. He's going to stay in front of the net. It goes right back up top. And he mixes it in, and he just fights for every single point that he's got in this tournament. And I've fallen in love with the game. I've really been a big fan of it. Here's another one. Picks up the puck along the wall. He's still fighting for it. He's got to move a Kazakhstan guy ahead of him. He's still getting pressed along the boards, and he's just working for it. He's really working for it. He gets it out. The other guy comes in, helps it out, and then Anton Wahlberg gets the goal there. But he was the one who kept that play alive. I really was a big fan of that. Yeah, he's really good. He's really good at keeping those chances alive. I wouldn't say that he's, again, the most skilled forward. That's why I'm not like putting him ahead of Martone, but he's keeping these chances alive. He's a very dangerous threat to score in every single scenario, and he opens that chance up for Edstrom there. I mean, he's just been such a smart player that I've really just, again, fallen in love with his game. That's kind of how I've seen it this tournament.
Yeah, so we'll say he's a stock. His stock rose with the World Juniors. I agree with that. Like I said, you know what, the things that he's been doing in Sweden has been very impressive as, an 18-year-old. I love the kind of player that he is, Victor Eklund. That's the kind of player that I really enjoy to see. You got skill with hard work. Mix those two together, and man, you can't stop those kind of prospects. But that's good for Victor Eklund for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, hey, I've been high on this guy since. I don't really know. I've just been really high on him for a little bit. I've just been watching him more and more. I'm like, I really like this guy. So yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah. You know what? Listen, I'm a big fan of him. I still have Frondell on top, like I said, because Frondell's younger, he's bigger. I think that he potentially has a higher ceiling. But that's just, that's opinions. We talked about that when we talked about the top 20. All right. So moving on, who are we going to talk about now, Mr. Linc?
I've queued up a penalty shot clip of Jack Ivankovic next. There's a lot of things that we can discuss about with him, because he's an underager goalie that Canada brought to this tournament, which is even more rare than I would say an underager defenseman brought to this tournament. And I have him facing off against Oliver's Muranex during that legendary showdown during Canada here. Look at this. I love this save more than like everyone else. Look at that.
Wow.
Loves it. Takes it away. But Jack Ivankovic, he is just a tremendous talent in net. The things that hurt him, again, 5'11", and what I noticed in the Latvia game, he has a lack of control with his rebounds, which does hurt goalies. But he's so athletic. He's got like cat-like reflexes. I'm a big fan of him. I've had him in my top 50 for a bit. I don't know if that'll change, but I definitely think his stock will rise as a result of his World Juniors play. And even in the loss to Latvia, he showed a lot. And I really liked what he did.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you. I think that, like you said, a young goaltender coming in, played for Canada, and actually, getting a game in. And he played really well against Latvia. I mean, what did they go? 14, 16 shooters, so eight aside or something like that. And for him to, stick around that long was pretty impressive. So yeah, you know what? Stock riser for sure. There are some pundits or online rankings that have him in the first round. So I've seen him, in the first round. Listen, I just telling you what. Yeah,
I know. In my opinion, it's a little premature to put like a goalie who's 5'11" in the first round.
Yeah,
that rubs me the wrong way.
Absolutely.
But if it's gonna be anybody, it's gonna be Jack Ivankovic. So we'll see how it goes. I like him. I do. It's just, but again, I'm acknowledging 5'11". That's what teams look for. That's what teams do not look for in goalies. So
yeah, you gotta be plus 6'1" for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but hey, could change. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. So here I got one for you, a little undersized player, Luka Radivojevic from Slovakia.
One of my favorites.
You know what? Listen, I watched the Slovakia Czech game, and man, he was flying out there, the little guy. 5'10", I think they got him listed at, though. That's the knock on him. But
he's also playing with your boy. He's also playing with your boy Ivan Ryabkin in Muskegon. So
that's right. Yeah. So I'm gonna go head out and see them play at some point in the next little while. I know that they come to Plymouth at the end of the season, but I'm gonna try to maybe make a drive out to Muskegon. It's only 3 hours from me, so I might do that one day because I get to see two players. And here, let me show you what Luka Radivojevic does. He buzzes out there. Look at the skating on this. Yeah, little shot on net right there. And then the other thing is he's got that stick handling, right? Like, check this out. So this is him on the point, little stutter step. Oh, see you later. And then little dish right there. So that's what he brings to the game. His lateral mobility is unreal. He's really confident with the puck on his stick. Sometimes a little too overconfident with the puck on his stick. Skating's great. Yeah, I want to see him in Muskegon. He's not really putting up big points right now in Muskegon, but that's a player that I want to definitely see live. And now that Ivan Ryabkin's out there, on my list within the next couple of months, I'm going to head out to see them play at some point and check out the two boys there.
Look at this. Tomáš Pobžal. He's actually my favorite Slovak in the tournament. That's just a shot on goal, but you see the quick hands there. You see him drive the net. He can endure physicality, and then he's got another end of his game. So he gets this puck here off the wall. See? He's going to retrieve it, go under, and he's going to start this transition. And this was a 3-on-3 versus Kazakhstan. He had a pretty solid game. He has not really recorded that many points, but he gets that transition going, and they end that game for himself. Tomáš Pobžal, he's been fantastic in HK Nitra. I mean, he's been playing really solid in the top Slovak league. In my opinion, he's been the best Slovakian player available in this draft since Radivojevic has had a little bit of a lackluster, points-wise and production-wise in the USHL season, but they're both incredible prospects, and I think they're both having their stocks rise in this after this tournament. So
yeah. So now, would you consider him a first rounder? Because I've seen Pobžal and Radivojevic, both of them in some rankings in the first round. So what's your thoughts on those?
I wouldn't jump to conclusions yet. I think this is a tough first round to this is a tough year to have like a set first round. It's very opinionated where you can just have your guys in the first round and people will kind of bat an eye. It's a very weak draft, in my opinion, after pick 18. So from 18 to 32, if you have somebody that's like in my second round range or even my third round range, I'd be like, all right, I can see it. So Pobžal and Radivojevic are in my second round right now, but okay, I could totally see either of them jump up and do something, but it's gonna be hard for me to have a 5'10" defenseman in my first round, but we'll see.
I mean, listen, unless you're uber dynamic and you're ripping up the league, but he's not ripping up the league. That's the only issue, right? So I think that it still remains to be determined in that department for sure. Now, we've skipped one player who was high on my list, and that is Logan Hensler. And so
I'm gonna give this to you.
Yeah. Logan Hensler is, I got him top 10 after the World Juniors. I don't know, but it depends on, the other players that are available, obviously. All right. So in this clip here, he's the one that's pressuring at the blue line, and then he actually retrieves a puck here and they win it over. So that's one of those things that Logan Hensler does. He's not a fancy guy. He's not going to get a lot of points. And this one here, he's in front of the net. He blocks a shot. Comes here, he's got pressure, and he does a little soft rim, and then Higgins gets it out. I already showed that one. And then some of the patience with the puck. So here he gets the puck right now. He waits, finds an open lane, and then moves it up. And then his work along the wall. So he's number 3 there in the bottom right. Watch. So he protects the puck right here. You see him protect the puck, and then a nice little dish out right there. And then the hitting. The hitting is the one thing with Logan Hensler. Boom. Takes the body along the boards there, and then this one here, boom, just lays a guy out at the top. So those are the kind of things that Logan Hensler. He's not a fancy D. He's not going to light you up offensively, but he's a good two-way D, and he's responsible in his own zone. And I found that he's gotten a little bit better as the tournaments progress, so that's a good thing. More NCAA hockey coming up is going to determine, I think, his ranking, in my opinion. What about yourself?
Yeah, well, I would say that I'm more of a Logan Hensler, not pessimist, but optimist than most. I'm a bigger fan of him. I really do like what he does on the ice. Again, I've been a little bit drawn back by what he's been done in the NCAA, and of course, there's only been one draft eligible player. There's only been one draft eligible defenseman on that USA roster in a long time, and it's Zeev Buium, who really showed out last year. And I brought him up highly after that tournament.
Yeah.
And he's been in more of a reduced role because, look, there's Zeev Buium, there's Cole Hudson, there's Adam Kleber, who's been playing really well. Colin Ralph has been playing really well. I really like Aaron Minetian as well. I really have liked the roster construction for the USA defense, despite how they've been playing defenses. They've not been playing defense incredibly this tournament as compared to last year. But Logan Hensler has been a part of that. He's been in a bit of a sheltered role because he's I don't know. He hasn't just been as good as the other players, but I don't think it's any knock on his performance. If anything, he's been kind of just like, I haven't wanted to raise him up, but I haven't wanted to bring him down because he made the roster. He's been getting the playing time necessary.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's looked solid. There's nothing there to criticize in his game.
Yeah, like I said, he's not flashy or anything like that, but he does all the little things right. And you know what? At the end of the day, sometimes you want to take a reliable D. I think that's. I don't know. Is there anyone else that we missed here, or anyone you want to talk about?
There was one player that I wanted to talk about that was on your points per game. He was standing out there in that points per game graphic you had.
Oh, yes.
Nobody else really been talking about him. Bruno Osmanis. He plays for IF Bjorkloven in the Allsvenskan right now. And looking at his numbers, he's looking pretty solid. He's only played 3 games for some reason, but he has 4 points in those 3 games. And his activation in this tournament has really impressed me. He was someone that was like somewhat on my radar where I was like looking at him. I had him on my list. I'm like, I'll look at him later. We'll see. And then he makes the team. I'm like, okay, all right. He's doing good for himself. And then I watched this guy play. And I have 3 clips below. He's just gotten better and better every single game that he's played.
He flies out there. Like, that kid does not stop moving when he is on the ice.
Look at this pass here, too, from along the wall. Again, that's in the Germany game.
That's nice.
They fought back to win that game. He gets it to Eric Smateko, who's a big scorer. And then I have 2 Canadian points for himself. Gets the point here. Passes it to Eric Smateko, but it's a no-look pass. No one's expecting it. And that's what gets the Latvians back in this game. And the next one, this is his goal. I think it's a goal. No, it's another pass. Pass it off to Levishik, and then to Boulans. He starts that. He gets it along the wall. He's a perimeter player, and he passes it out to a guy in the middle. He's got the passing sense to do it. He's got the passing vision to do it. He can fly. He can play along the wall, and he's just a really competent player that no one's been talking about, and someone I'm going to keep a really big eye on because his draft stock.
The draft stock has definitely gone up for Osmanis. Yeah, you know what? Like I said, and the thing is that he's a little workhorse. Like, I'm telling you, he was buzzing every game that I've watched him play. Like, flying out there. Like, he does not stop when he's on the ice, and I love to see that. It's another thing. Like I said, when a player is engaged in the game and they are working hard and not afraid to go along the wall and into the dirty areas, middle of the ice, and that's what he does. And you know what? He's been rewarded. He's having a great tournament. And like we talked about before recording, is that he had he had 3 attempts on the shootout against Canada. They had some faith in him, so it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and again, the Latvia is a very young team, and he was one of the young leaders of that team because Eric Smateko ages out next year, but they have they have like 3 16-year-olds. They have a couple draft eligibles, but he was the one released.
They said they had 17 players that are eligible to return next year.
It's ridiculous. They might look. I'm not going to get too hasty, but they might find themselves in a semifinal game sometime soon.
Wow. Okay. Hey,
you never know. They played excellent this year, and it really stemmed from the offensive talent of Osmanis. And I think that you're fooling yourself if you don't have this guy at least on your watch board because he looked really solid. Oh, he looked really solid. So that was something that we couldn't end this video without talking about. So that was
a good call. We definitely needed that. Okay, so that's it for this episode. We'll probably be back in a couple of weeks or so. Linc has to move into Denmark, get settled in, and then we're gonna, be able to. We're gonna probably do some profiles on some prospects in the near future. We're gonna, talk about what we like about the prospect, pros and cons. Where we have them ranked, why we have them ranked, and some prospect news across the leagues. Playoffs are going to be coming up soon, so we'll talk about who's hot, who's not, all that fun stuff. But a lot of content coming up in the near future. Links, safe travels, my friend.
I appreciate it. I can't wait to get into all these prospects because it's going to be a fun year. Yeah. It's going to be a divisive year where we're going to have some real arguments about where we're going to rank these players. So I can't wait. So I'm super excited.
Like the top 3, top 4, top 20, top 32, it's gonna be pretty wild in terms of the rankings. It's gonna be fun. Like I said, a lot. And then when the actual NHL draft happens, I can't wait for that. It's going to be unreal.
Fantastic.
So great year. 2025 is going to be a lot of fun, Linc. So that's it for this episode, and we will see you soon. Cheers.